Listen, I need to tell you something. My name is Ethan Cole, and 3 days ago, I was worth $2 billion. Today, I'm not even sure I can afford coffee. But that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is how it happened. And who did it to me. See, they always tell you to trust your instincts. But what happens when your instincts tell you to trust the wrong people? What happens when the people closest to you are the ones planning your destruction? I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me. Every detail. Every mistake I made. Every sign I missed. Because maybe, just maybe, my story can save you from making the same mistakes I did. Let me start from the beginning. Well, not the very beginning. Let me start from 48 hours ago. Thursday morning. The last morning I woke up as a billionaire. Picture this. Penthouse apartment in Manhattan. 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. I'm lying in a bed that costs more than most people's cars. Italian leather. Handcrafted in Milan. $12,000. I remember the price because I thought it was ridiculous when I bought it. Next to me is sleeping the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Sophia Reed, former Victoria's Secret model. Now she runs charity galas for rich people who want to feel good about themselves. We'd been together for 2 years. Engaged for 6 months. I thought she was perfect. God, I was so stupid. So I wake up that morning, and everything is normal. Sophia makes her green smoothie. I check my phone for stock prices. Coal Industries is up 8% in pre-market trading. 8%. Do you know what 8% means when your company is worth $15 billion? It means I made over $1 billion while I was sleeping. That's the thing about being rich. Really rich. Money makes money. Even when you're unconscious, your wealth is growing. It's like a machine that never stops. I built Coal Industries from nothing. 10 years ago, I was coding in my garage, living off ramen noodles and energy drinks. Now, we were the most advanced AI company in the world. Our neural networks could predict stock market movements with 97% accuracy. Fortune 500 companies paid us millions just to access our algorithms. But here's what I didn't understand then. Success makes you a target. The higher you climb, the more people want to see you fall. And some of those people, they're sitting at your breakfast table every morning. So that Thursday morning, I'm feeling invincible. I've got a meeting with the Pentagon about a $5 billion defense contract. $5 billion. With our AI technology, the military could process global threats in real time. Stop terrorist attacks before they happen. Save thousands of lives. I thought I was going to change the world. Instead, I was about to lose everything. The Pentagon meeting went perfectly. 2 hours of demonstrations. Generals asking technical questions I could answer in my sleep. By the end, I could see it in their eyes. The contract was mine. I was about to become the most powerful tech CEO in America. I called Sophia from the car. Told her to book dinner at Millionaire. You know Millionaire? 3-month waiting list. Unless you're worth $2 billion. Then they find you a table. I had it all planned. Dinner. Wine. And then I was going to ask her to set our wedding date. I'd already bought the ring. 2-carat diamond. Flawless. Cost more than most people's houses. We never made it to dessert. At 8:47 p.m., while I'm sitting across from a woman I thought I'd spend my life with, my phone rings. David Lynn. My business partner. My best friend since college. The panic in his voice made my blood freeze. Ethan, he says, we have a problem. A big problem. I excused myself from dinner. Told Sophia it was just business. She smiled and said she understood. Looking back now, I realized she was smiling because she already knew what was happening. By the time I got back to the office, it was chaos. Every computer screen showing error messages. Every employee still there, trying to figure out what went wrong. And David looked like someone had died. Everything's gone, he told me. The servers. The backups. The AI models. Everything. Gone. 10 years of work. Billions of dollars in intellectual property. The Pentagon contract. My entire company's future. Gone. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was when our accountant called 20 minutes later. Mr. Cole, she said, I'm sorry to inform you that all company accounts have been drained. $500 million. Transferred to untraceable offshore accounts. $500 million. Not just company money. My personal accounts too. Someone had access to everything. Every bank account. Every investment. Every financial asset I owned. I went from billionaire to broke in one night. But money? Money wasn't the real loss. The real loss was realizing that someone I trusted completely had planned my destruction for weeks, maybe months. See, we hired this cybersecurity expert, Lila Torres. Young woman, maybe 28, but she could trace digital fingerprints like a bloodhound. And what she found made my stomach drop. The hack didn't come from outside. It came from inside. Someone with full administrative access to our systems had downloaded our entire network architecture 3 weeks earlier. Then they'd spent those 3 weeks planning the perfect attack. 3 weeks ago, right after I'd announced the Pentagon deal to my inner circle, right after I'd shared our biggest secret with the people I trusted most, only 4 people had that level of access. Me, David, our head of security, who was vacationing in Japan. And, actually, let me tell you about the video first, because that's when everything changed. Lila pulled up security footage from 3 weeks ago, 2:15 a.m., the exact timestamp when someone used David's login credentials to access our core systems. But wasn't David in the video. It was a figure in a black hoodie, moving through our office like they knew exactly where every camera was positioned, like they'd studied our security system for months. For 90% of the video, you couldn't see their face. But at the end, just for a second, they turned toward the camera. It was Sophia, my fiancée, the woman I was planning to marry. The woman sleeping in my bed every night while she planned my destruction during the day. I confronted her that night, showed her the footage, watched her perfect mask finally slip. And you know what she said? I had no choice. No choice. Like betraying someone who loved you was just inevitable. But here's the thing that really broke me. She wasn't even sorry. She looked relieved, like she'd been carrying this secret for months and was glad it was finally over. She told me about Marcus Gray, my former employee, guy I fired 5 years ago for stealing company code. Apparently, he'd been planning this revenge ever since. And somehow, he'd convinced my fiancée to help him. But wait, it gets worse. After Sophia disappeared that night, and yes, she literally vanished, took all her stuff while I was dealing with the hack, Lila made another discovery. The $500 million they stole? It wasn't just theft. They were using my own money to fund a competitor company, using my stolen AI technology to build what I'd spent 10 years creating. And get this, they were offering our Pentagon contract for half the price. Marcus wasn't just destroying me. He was replacing me with my own technology, with my own money. But here's what kept me awake that first night. Marcus said something on the phone that made my blood freeze. He said, "The person who helped me is still close to you." Sophia was gone. So who was he talking about? I looked around at everyone still in my life. David, my best friend who'd been acting strange all week. My assistant who knew all my passwords. My head of security who conveniently wasn't in the country when this happened. Someone in my inner circle was still working for Marcus. Still watching me. Still reporting back. And I had no idea who. So that's where my story begins. Not with success. Not with wealth. But with betrayal. With the realization that everything I'd built was based on trusting the wrong people. They took my money. They took my company. They took my technology. But you know what they couldn't take? My determination to get it all back. Over the next 9 episodes, I'm going to tell you exactly how I hunted down every person who betrayed me. How I discovered conspiracies within conspiracies. How I learned that my destruction was just one part of a much bigger plan. I'm going to tell you about the cybersecurity expert who became my only ally. About the business partner who might be my greatest enemy. About the fiancé who chose money over love. And I'm going to tell you how a broken billionaire learned to fight back against people who thought he was finished. Because here's what Marcus didn't understand. Taking everything from someone doesn't make them weak. It makes them dangerous. My name is Ethan Cole. This is my story of betrayal, revenge, and the price of trust. And this is just the beginning. In episode 2, I'll tell you about the night I followed Sophia to her secret meeting. What I discovered changed everything I thought I knew about my own life. And the person she was meeting? Someone I never suspected was involved in my destruction. So, you want to know what happened next? After I lost everything in one night? After I discovered my own fiancé had betrayed me? Well, let me tell you about the worst week of my life. And how I slowly realized that everyone I trusted was lying to me. It's Friday morning, 24 hours after my world collapsed. I haven't slept, haven't eaten. I'm sitting in my penthouse, staring at news reports about my own destruction. Coal industries stock plummets 70%. Billionaire CEO faces bankruptcy. Tech empire crumbles overnight. They were talking about me like I was already dead. Like Ethan Cole was past tense. But here's the thing about losing everything. It clears your mind, strips away all the noise. And suddenly, you start seeing things you missed before. Like how Sophia had been acting strange for weeks. How she'd started asking weird questions about my business. How she'd suddenly become interested in our security protocols. I thought she was just being supportive, learning about my work. God, I was naive. So Friday morning, my phone starts ringing. Investors, board members, employees. Everyone wants answers I don't have. Everyone wants reassurance I can't give. But the call that really got to me? It was from my mother. Ethan, honey, I saw the news. Are you okay? My mother, 73 years old, living in the retirement home I pay for. Except now I couldn't even afford her medical bills. I'm fine, Mom. Just a temporary setback. Temporary setback. I was lying to my own mother. But what was I supposed to say? That her son, the success story she bragged about to all her friends, was now broke? That everything she was proud of was built on lies? After I hung up, I did something I hadn't done in years. I cried. Not because of the money. Money's just numbers. I cried because I realized how many people I was going to let down. My employees. My mother. Everyone who believed in me. But crying doesn't solve problems. Action does. So I decided to investigate. If someone close to me was working with Marcus, I was going to find out who. I was going to hunt down every person who betrayed me. I started with David, my best friend, my business partner, the guy who'd been by my side for 10 years. See, there were things that didn't add up about Thursday night. David said he'd been home when the hack happened. But when I called him, it took him 20 minutes to get to the office. 20 minutes from his apartment should have been 45 minutes at that time of night. So Friday afternoon, I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed my best friend. David left the office at exactly 5:30. Same time every day. But instead of going home, he drove to a coffee shop in Brooklyn. Not his usual spot. Not anywhere near his apartment. I parked across the street and watched. David sat at a corner table, checking his phone every 30 seconds. Like he was waiting for someone. 20 minutes later, someone joined him. Marcus Gray. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My best friend. The guy who was supposed to be helping me find the hacker. Sitting across from a hacker himself. They talked for exactly 15 minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see their body language. This wasn't their first meeting. They knew each other well. When they left, Marcus handed David an envelope. David put it in his jacket without even looking inside. My best friend. The guy I'd trusted with my company. With my secrets. With my life. He was working for the enemy. You want to know what betrayal really feels like? It's not anger. Not at first. It's confusion. Your brain can't process it. It's like being told gravity stopped working. It doesn't make sense. I sat in my car for an hour after they left, just trying to understand. How long had David been planning this? Was our entire friendship fake? Was every moment we'd shared just him gathering information? When I finally drove home, Sophia was waiting for me. She'd made dinner. Salmon with asparagus. My favorite meal. She was wearing the dress I'd bought her in Paris. Trying to act normal. How was your day, baby? How was my day? I just discovered my business partner was a traitor. My company was destroyed. My life was in ruins. But I looked at her beautiful face and lied. Fine. Just dealing with the aftermath. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You always do. Always do. Like this was just another business challenge. Like I hadn't lost everything. But here's what really bothered me. She wasn't asking the right questions. When your fiancé's company gets destroyed, you ask about specifics. You want details. You offer to help. Sophia was acting like she already knew everything. Like she was waiting for me to catch up to information she already had. So I decided to test her. Sophia, what if we can't afford the wedding we planned? What do you mean? I mean, what if I lost most of my money? What if we had to scale back? Simple ceremony. No destination honeymoon. You want to know what her response was? She didn't even hesitate. Money doesn't matter, Ethan. I love you, not your bank account. Perfect answer. Too perfect. Like she'd rehearsed it. See, I'd learned something about people during my years in business. When someone gives you exactly the answer you want to hear, they're usually lying. Real emotions are messy. Complicated. They come with hesitation and genuine concern. Sophia's response was a performance. That night, after she went to sleep, I started my real investigation. See, being a tech CEO means you know how to access information, even information people don't want you to have. I checked our home security system. Our cameras record everything, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'd installed them for protection. Turns out, they were about to reveal something much worse than burglars. I pulled up footage from the past month. Started looking for patterns. Times when Sophia was acting strange. Times when she made phone calls she didn't want me to overhear. And there it was. 3 weeks ago. The same night someone used David's credentials to access our system. Sophia had left our apartment at 1 a.m. She told me she was going to get medicine for a headache. But the cameras showed her getting into a car I didn't recognize. She didn't come back until 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Exactly 30 minutes after the initial breach of our security system. But that wasn't all. I found 6 more instances over the past month. 6 times Sophia had left our apartment in the middle of the night. 6 times she'd returned hours later with some excuse about errands or friend emergencies. 6 times she'd lied to my face while I slept peacefully next to her. Saturday morning, I decided to confront David. Not about Marcus. Not yet. I needed to be smart about this. I needed to gather more evidence before I made any accusations. David, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Of course, man. What's up? The night of the hack. You said you were home, but it took you 20 minutes to get to the office. Oh, that. I was actually at my ex-girlfriend's place, picking up some stuff I'd left there. Didn't want to mention it because, Sarah gets weird about my past relationships. Sarah, his current girlfriend, who he'd been with for 3 years, who definitely wouldn't get weird about him having a past. Another lie. And not even a good one. David, we've been friends for 15 years. Don't lie to me. Not now. You want to know what he said? He looked me straight in the eye and said, Ethan, I would never betray you. You're like a brother to me. Brother. While he was actively working with the person who destroyed my life. That's when I realized something important. Everyone in my life was lying to me. My fiancé. My best friend. Probably others I hadn't discovered yet. But 2 could play that game. I started pretending I believed them. Started acting like I trusted David completely. Started telling Sophia I was confident we'd recover from this setback. Meanwhile, I was gathering evidence. Building a case. Preparing for war. See, here's what betrayers don't understand. When you've built a billion-dollar company, you learn how to play chess. Real chess. Where every move sets up moves 20 steps later. So I started feeding different information to different people. Told David I was meeting with one set of investors. Told Sophia I was pursuing a different recovery strategy. Told my assistant I was planning to relocate the company. All lies. But specific lies designed to flush out the mole. By Sunday, Lila had made another breakthrough. She'd traced the digital signatures from the hack. The attack wasn't just sophisticated. It was personal. Whoever did this had intimate knowledge of our company structure. Our employee schedules, our security rotations. Mr. Cole, she told me, this wasn't just an inside job. This was planned by someone who'd been studying your company for years. Someone who knew your habits, your routines, your weaknesses. Years. Someone had been planning my destruction for years while pretending to be my friend. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about every conversation I'd had with David over the past year. Every time I'd shared sensitive information. Every time I'd asked for his advice on major decisions. Had he been reporting everything back to Marcus? Was every strategy session actually intelligence gathering? And Sophia. Sweet, beautiful Sophia who always seemed so interested in my work. Who asked such thoughtful questions about my business plans. Questions that now seemed like interrogations. Monday morning brought new horrors. The Pentagon called. They were reassessing our contract. Translation. They were giving it to someone else. Mr. Cole, we understand you're experiencing some technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. Like having your entire company stolen was just a software glitch. We've been approached by another firm with similar capabilities. Neural Tech Industries. Are you familiar with them? Neural Tech Industries. I'd never heard of them. But somehow, they had technology identical to mine. I spent the morning researching Neural Tech. Shell company. Incorporated just 2 weeks ago. No public information about their leadership. No track record. No previous contracts. But somehow they were offering the Pentagon the exact same AI capabilities we developed over 10 years. For half the price. It was my technology. Had to be. Marcus wasn't just stealing my company. He was rebuilding it under a different name. That afternoon, David called with more bad news. Ethan, I hate to tell you this, but 3 more investors pulled out. They're scared about the security breach. Scared. My investors were scared that if they stayed with me, they'd be next. Money follows money, but it runs even faster from failure. How much do we have left in operating funds? Maybe 6 weeks. If we cut all non-essential expenses. 6 weeks. To rebuild what took me 10 years to create. But here's what really bothered me about that call. David sounded rehearsed. Like he'd practiced delivering bad news. Like he knew exactly what to say to make me feel hopeless. That night, I made a decision. I was going to follow Sophia. She told me she was going to dinner with her sister. Family emergency. Needed to be there for support. Her sister lives in New Jersey. Sophia drove to Manhattan. I followed her from a distance. Watched her park outside a hotel I didn't recognize. Not a nice hotel. Not the kind of place Sophia would normally go. She walked into the lobby like she'd been there before. Confident. No hesitation. This wasn't her first visit. I waited 10 minutes, then followed her inside. The lobby was nearly empty. Just a few people who looked like they were conducting business they didn't want public. I asked the desk clerk if he'd seen a woman in a red coat. Slipped him $200. She went up to room 712. Been coming here every week for a month. Every week. For a month. While she was sleeping next to me every night, she was meeting someone in this hotel every week. I took the elevator to the 7th floor. The hallway was long and dim. Room 712 was at the end. I pressed my ear to the door. I know it sounds pathetic. A billionaire listening at doors like a teenager. But I needed to know. I could hear 2 voices. Sophia's. And a man's voice I didn't recognize at first. Then Sophia laughed. Not her polite social laugh. Her real laugh. The one she used to save for me. I heard fragments of conversation. Ethan suspects, David is getting nervous. Need to move faster? They were talking about me. Planning something. And Sophia was giving them information about my state of mind. My suspicions. My plans. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. Marcus, what if he finds out about us? Marcus. She said Marcus. Marcus Gray. The hacker who destroyed my company. Sophia wasn't just working with him. She was personally involved with him. The woman I was going to marry was having an affair with the man who stole my life. I don't know how long I stood there. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. Time stops when your heart breaks. Then I heard footsteps approaching the door. They were leaving. I ran to the stairwell. Hid behind the fire door. Watched them come out together. Marcus Gray. I hadn't seen him in 5 years, but I recognized him immediately. Tall. Thin. That arrogant smirk he used to wear when he thought he was smarter than everyone else. And Sophia. My Sophia. Walking next to him like they were a couple. Like I was the stranger. They took separate elevators down. Smart. Professional. This wasn't passion. This was business. But business mixed with something else. When Marcus touched her arm before they separated, she smiled. The same smile she used to give me. I followed Marcus outside. Watched him get into a black Tesla. Expensive car for someone who was supposedly broke and vengeful. I memorized his license plate. His clothes. Everything. I was going to hunt him down. But first, I had to deal with the traitor sleeping in my bed. I drove home slowly. Thinking. Planning. How do you confront someone who's been lying to you for months? How do you look at the person you love and see your enemy? By the time I got back to the penthouse, Sophia was already there. Making tea in our kitchen. Acting perfectly normal. How was your sister? I asked. Oh, much better. Thanks for asking. Family drama, you know how it is. Family drama. While she was actually meeting with the man who stole $500 million from me. I watched her make tea. The same routine she'd done 1,000 times. Everything normal. Everything perfect. Everything fake. Sophia, can I ask you something? Of course, baby. If you could change anything about the past month, what would it be? She thought about it. Actually considered the question. Like she was choosing which lie to tell me. I guess I'd want to spend more time together. I feel like we've been distant lately. Distant. Because she was busy planning my destruction with her secret boyfriend. Yeah, I felt that too. Like you've had other things on your mind. Just work stress. You know how it is. Work stress. Her job was running charity events for rich people. What stress could that possibly involve? That night, I pretended to go to sleep early. Told her I was exhausted from everything with the company. But really I was testing her. Would she sneak out again? Would she make secret phone calls? Would she finally slip up, and reveal her true nature? At 11:30, she got up, whispered something about getting water. But instead of going to the kitchen, she went to my study. I followed her silently, watched through the crack in the door. She was on my computer, my personal computer, typing frantically, copying files onto a USB drive. My files, my personal documents, financial records, business plans, even my private emails. Everything I was working on to rebuild my company. She was stealing it in real time. I wanted to burst in, confront her, demand explanations, but I forced myself to stay hidden. I needed to see how deep this went. She copied files for 20 minutes. Then she made a phone call. It's done. I have everything he's planning. His recovery strategy, his investor contacts, his backup accounts. Backup accounts. I'd been smart enough to keep some money hidden. Emergency funds she wasn't supposed to know about. But somehow, she knew exactly where to look. Yes, I can get the passwords. He trusts me completely. Trusts me completely. Past tense. Because after tonight, that trust was dead. She hung up and crept back to bed. Lay down next to me like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just stolen the last hope I had of rebuilding my life. I lay there for hours, listening to her breathe, watching her sleep peacefully, marveling at how someone could betray you and then sleep like a baby afterward. Tuesday morning, I started my counter-investigation. If Sophia and David were working together, I needed proof. Real proof. Not just suspicions. I called Lila Torres, the cybersecurity expert who was helping me trace the original hack. Lila, I need you to do something that might not be completely legal. What kind of not completely legal? I need you to hack into someone's phone. Someone I think is working with Marcus. Mr. Cole, if I do this, it could compromise our investigation. Evidence obtained illegally won't hold up in court. I'm not interested in court anymore. I'm interested in the truth. Lila was good. Really good. Within 2 hours, she gained access to Sophia's phone records, text messages, call logs, GPS data. What we found was worse than I'd imagined. Sophia had been in contact with Marcus for 4 months. 4 months. Since before our engagement. Their first conversation was the day after I'd told her about the Pentagon contract. The day after I'd shared my biggest business secret with the woman I loved. She'd told Marcus everything. Our security protocols, our client lists, our financial structures, even personal details about my habits and routines. But the text messages revealed something even worse. When this is over, we can finally be together properly. That was from Marcus. I can't wait to stop pretending with him. That was Sophia's response. Stop pretending. Our entire relationship was pretend. Every I love you, every intimate moment, every time she'd acted proud of my success. All of it was performance. But the worst message, the one that really broke me, sometimes I almost feel sorry for him. He really thinks I love him. From Sophia. Don't go soft on me now. Remember what he did to my career. He deserves everything that's coming. From Marcus. They weren't just stealing from me. They were enjoying it, getting pleasure from my pain. The woman I'd planned to spend my life with thought hurting me was entertainment. That afternoon, I made a decision. I was going to play their game, but I was going to play it better. I called David, told him I had a new lead on recovering our stolen money, asked him to meet me that evening to discuss strategy. Then I called Sophia, told her I was feeling depressed about the company, asked if she wanted to have a quiet dinner at home. I was setting traps, and I was about to find out just how deep this conspiracy went. David arrived at 6. Sophia started cooking at 6:30. Perfect timing. Both of my betrayers in the same room. So what's this new lead? David asked. I found traces of the stolen money. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. But I need someone I trust completely to help me track them down. I watched his face carefully, looking for any sign that he already knew about the offshore accounts. Count me in, he said. Whatever you need. Whatever I need. From the man who was actively working to destroy me. Sophia was making pasta, acting like the perfect supportive fiancé, asking about my day, offering encouragement about the recovery efforts, all while she'd spent the afternoon sending Marcus detailed reports about my emotional state. You seem better today, she said, more hopeful. Yeah, I think we might actually recover from this. I watched her reaction carefully. She tried to hide it, but I saw the flash of concern in her eyes. She didn't want me to recover. She wanted me broken. That's when I knew for certain. This wasn't just about helping Marcus for money or blackmail. Sophia actively wanted to see me fail. During dinner, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stop investigating, or things will get much worse for you. I showed the message to David and Sophia. Watch their reactions. David looked angry. Someone's threatening you? We should call the police. Sophia looked scared. Maybe we should back off. Focus on rebuilding instead of investigating. Back off. Stop investigating. Exactly what the person sending threats would want me to do. Sophia wasn't just working with Marcus. She was protecting him, actively trying to stop me from finding him. That night, I pretended to go to sleep early again. But this time, I was ready. I'd installed tracking software on Sophia's phone. If she left the apartment, I'd know exactly where she went. At midnight, my phone buzzed. Sophia was on the move. I followed her at a distance. She drove to a parking garage in Queens. Industrial area. No cameras. No witnesses. I parked 2 blocks away and followed on foot. The garage was mostly empty. Just a few cars scattered across multiple levels. Sophia's red BMW was parked on the 3rd level. But she wasn't alone. Marcus was there. And they weren't just talking business. He had his arms around her. She was kissing him like she'd kissed me 1,000 times. My fiancé. With my enemy. In a secret location they'd clearly used before. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what I heard them say. Phase 2 starts tomorrow, Marcus said. David will lead Ethan into the trap. What if he doesn't take the bait? Sophia asked. He will. He trusts David completely. And David knows exactly how to manipulate him. Phase 2. This wasn't over. Stealing my company was just the beginning. They had more planned. More ways to destroy me. And David, my best friend. He wasn't just a traitor. He was the trap. I crept back to my car. Drove home in a daze. Tried to process what I'd learned. Everyone I loved was working against me. Everyone I trusted was playing a role. My entire life was a stage, and I was the only one who didn't know it was a performance. When I got home, Sophia was already back. Lying in our bed. Pretending to sleep. I lay down next to her. This woman who'd betrayed me. This woman who was planning my further destruction. And I started planning my revenge. See, here's what Marcus and Sophia and David didn't understand. They thought breaking me would make me give up. They thought taking my money would make me powerless. But they forgot something important. I didn't build a billion-dollar company by giving up when things got hard. I built it by fighting back when everyone said I couldn't win. They wanted to play games? Fine. I'd play games. They wanted to use my trust against me? I'd use their arrogance against them. They thought they'd won. They had no idea what a desperate billionaire could do when he had nothing left to lose. Tomorrow, David was going to lead me into whatever trap they'd planned. But I'd be ready, because now I knew the truth. My name is Ethan Cole. Everyone I loved betrayed me. Everyone I trusted was my enemy. But betrayal works both ways. In next episode, I'll tell you about the trap David set for me. About what I discovered in Marcus's secret headquarters. And about the moment I realized this conspiracy wasn't just about revenge. It was about something much bigger. Something that made my billion-dollar company look like pocket change. Because when you're hunting your betrayers, you sometimes discover that you were never the real target. You were just the first step in a plan that could destroy everything. Before I tell you what happened next, let me quickly remind you where we left off. I just discovered that everyone in my inner circle was betraying me. My fiancée Sophia was secretly meeting with Marcus Gray, the hacker who stole $500 million from my company. My best friend David was working with them, feeding information to my enemies. But the worst part? They were planning something called Phase 2. My destruction wasn't complete. They had more planned. So here I am. Wednesday morning. 3 days after losing everything. Sitting in my penthouse that I probably can't afford much longer, trying to figure out how to fight back against people who know all my secrets. That's when I made the smartest decision of my life. I decided to hire the best cybersecurity expert money could buy. Her name was Lila Torres. 28 years old. Former NSA cybersecurity specialist. The kind of person governments call when they need to find digital ghosts. I'd heard about her through tech industry rumors. She'd helped Fortune 500 companies track down hackers. Recovered stolen cryptocurrency worth billions. Found digital evidence that put criminals in federal prison. But she was expensive. Really expensive. Her consulting fee was $50,000 a week. 3 weeks ago, $50,000 meant nothing to me. Now, it was a significant chunk of my remaining liquid assets. But you know what? When someone steals your life's work, You don't worry about consulting fees. You worry about survival. Ms. Torres, this is Ethan Cole. I need your help. Mr. Cole, I heard about what happened to your company. I'm sorry for your loss. Loss. Like Cole Industries had died, which I guess it had. Can you find the people who did this to me? Mr. Cole, I can find anyone who leaves digital footprints. But I have to warn you, sometimes the truth is worse than the mystery. Worse than the mystery. I had no idea how right she was. We met that afternoon at a small coffee shop in Brooklyn. Neutral territory. Away from my office, my home, anywhere my betrayers might be watching. Lila looked younger than I expected. Short black hair. Wire-rimmed glasses. But her eyes? Her eyes looked like they'd seen the dark side of the internet. Mr. Cole, before we start, I need you to understand something. Hunting hackers means going into very dark places. Digital places where normal people shouldn't go. I'm not normal people anymore. I'm a man with nothing left to lose. Good, because if we're going to catch Marcus Gray, we'll need to think like him. Act like him. Sometimes become him. She opened her laptop. The screen was filled with code I couldn't read. Green text scrolling faster than my eyes could follow. Tell me everything about the night your company was hacked. Every detail, no matter how small. So I told her. Everything. The timeline. The missing money. David's suspicious behavior. Sophia's lies. Even the secret meeting in the parking garage. Lila took notes on everything, but not normal notes. She was creating what she called a digital profile of the attack. Mr. Cole, this wasn't random. This was surgical. Whoever did this studied your company for months. Maybe years. How can you tell? The precision. They knew exactly which servers to hit, which backup systems to disable, which accounts had the most liquid assets. This level of planning requires inside information. Deep inside information. I already knew about the inside help. Sophia. David. Maybe others. But then Lila said something that changed everything. Mr. Cole, the digital signatures suggest the hacker had access to your personal devices. Not just company systems. Your personal laptop. Your phone. Possibly your home network. My personal laptop. The computer I used at home. For private emails. Personal banking. Confidential documents I'd never shared with anyone. How is that possible? Someone would need physical access to your devices. Or access to your home network. Mr. Cole, this wasn't just corporate espionage. This was personal surveillance. Personal surveillance. Someone had been watching my private life. Reading my personal emails. Tracking my online activities. But who had access to my home? Sophia, obviously. David visited regularly. My housekeeper came twice a week. My assistant sometimes worked from the penthouse. Any of them could have installed surveillance software on my personal devices. Speaking of my assistant, she was calling with more bad news. Mr. Cole, 3 more investors want to meet tomorrow. Emergency board meeting. Emergency board meeting. Translation, they wanted to remove me as CEO of my own company. What time? 10 a.m. Conference room A. Conference room A. The same room where I'd celebrated the Pentagon contract just 5 days ago. Now it would be where my board of directors fired me. Problem? Lila asked. My investors are panicking. They want me out. How many investors are we talking about? 12. They control 40% of company shares. Mr. Cole, if you lose investor confidence, you lose any chance of rebuilding. We need to find evidence fast. Fast. Everything in my life now had to happen fast. Fast recovery. Fast investigation. Fast revenge. But hunting digital ghosts takes time. And time was something I didn't have. Lila, what if I gave you access to everything? My personal laptop. My home network. All my devices. Could you trace the breach back to its source? Mr. Cole, if someone has been surveilling you personally, your devices might be compromised. Anything we discover could be reported back to your enemies. She was right. If Marcus had access to my personal laptop, he could see everything we were doing. Every email. Every search. Every plan. But that also meant something else. If he was watching me, I could watch him back. Lila, what if we used that against them? What if we fed them false information through my compromised devices? That's actually brilliant. We could set digital traps. Make them think you're planning one thing while you're actually doing something else. Digital traps. I like the sound of that. We spent the next 3 hours planning our counterattack. Lila would analyze my personal devices from secure location. Meanwhile, I would feed false information through my normal channels. Tell Sophia I was meeting with new investors. Tell David I was pursuing legal action. Tell my assistant I was planning to relocate overseas. All lies, but specific lies designed to make Marcus and his team reveal themselves. Mr. Cole, there's something else. The money they stole? It's being moved, transferred between offshore accounts. They're planning something big. How big? Big enough to destabilize several major tech companies. Your company was just the first target. The first target. Marcus wasn't just destroying me. He was destroying the entire industry I'd helped build. Who else is he targeting? I'm not sure yet, but the pattern suggests companies with advanced AI technology. Companies working on government contracts. Government contracts. Like the Pentagon deal that had made Cole Industries so valuable. Lila, what if this isn't about revenge? What if Marcus is working for someone else? Someone who wants to control AI technology. It's possible. Corporate espionage at this level usually has state sponsors, or competitors willing to pay billions for inside information. State sponsors, foreign governments, competitors with unlimited resources. I'd thought this was personal. Marcus getting revenge for being fired. But maybe I was just collateral damage in something much bigger. Ethan, we need to talk. Tonight. It's urgent. Urgent. The same word Marcus had used when he called the night everything collapsed. What's so urgent, David? I found something. About the hack. About who's really behind it. David claimed he'd found something? My partner who was secretly working with Marcus? This was obviously the trap Sophia had mentioned. But I needed to play along. Make them think I still trusted him. Where do you want to meet? Your office. Midnight. Come alone. Come alone. To an empty building. In the middle of the night. With the man who'd betrayed me. I'll be there. That was the trap. David wants to meet me tonight. Midnight. My office building. Mr. Cole, you can't go. It's obviously a setup. I know it's a setup. But what if we set up our own counter trap? Lila looked intrigued. What did you have in mind? What if I wear a wire? Record everything David says. Get him to admit his involvement. That could work. But if they suspect you're recording, things could get dangerous. Dangerous. My life had been dangerous since the moment I discovered everyone I loved was lying to me. Lila, I need evidence. Real evidence. Not just suspicions and security footage. Okay, but we do this smart. Professional surveillance equipment. Remote backup. And I'll be monitoring everything from a safe location. We spent the rest of the afternoon setting up surveillance equipment. Hidden cameras. Digital recorders. GPS tracking devices. If David was planning to hurt me, we'd have evidence. If he was planning to lead me into a trap, we'd document everything. But most importantly, if he revealed information about Marcus's larger plan, we'd finally understand what we were really fighting. That evening, I had dinner with Sophia. Our last dinner, though she didn't know it yet. You seem tense, she said. Just worried about the board meeting tomorrow. I'm sure it will go fine. You're a survivor, Ethan. Survivor. Like I was recovering from a natural disaster instead of deliberate sabotage. Sophia, what would you do if you lost everything? If everyone you trusted betrayed you? She considered the question carefully. Too carefully. I'd probably focus on the people who still loved me. Family. Close friends. The people who matter most. The people who matter most. Like Marcus Gray, apparently. What if you found out those people were the ones who betrayed you? Then I'd realize I'd been looking at the world wrong. Maybe the betrayal was justified. Maybe I'd done something to deserve it. Deserve it. She thought I deserved to have my life destroyed. What could someone do that would justify destroying their entire life? Pride. Arrogance. Thinking you're better than everyone else. She was talking about me. In her mind, I deserved everything that happened because I was proud and arrogant. The woman I'd loved thought I was a monster who deserved punishment. After dinner, I prepared for my meeting with David. Hidden recording devices. Backup communication with Lila. Emergency protocols if things went wrong. Mr. Cole, Lila said through my earpiece, remember, your goal is information. Don't confront him directly. Let him reveal his plans. The drive to my office took 20 minutes. Manhattan at midnight is a different world. Empty streets. Flickering streetlights. The city that never sleeps taking a brief nap. My office building was completely dark except for security lighting. Even the cleaning crews had finished for the night. I took the elevator to the 15th floor, my executive suite, the same office where I'd built a billion-dollar empire. Now it felt like a mausoleum. David was already waiting in my conference room, sitting at the head of the table, like he owned the place. Ethan, thanks for coming. What did you find? First, I need to ask you something. Do you trust me? Completely. Do I trust him? The man who'd been secretly meeting with my enemy? The man who'd helped steal my company? Of course I trust you. You're my best friend. Good, because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound crazy. Try me. The hack wasn't random. It was commissioned. Someone paid Marcus Gray specifically to destroy coal industries. Commissioned, like my destruction was a business contract. Who would pay to destroy us? That's what I've been trying to figure out. But Ethan, the money they used, it came from somewhere unexpected. What do you mean? The initial payment to Marcus? It came from an account linked to Reed Pharmaceuticals. Reed Pharmaceuticals, Sophia's father's company. Richard Reed, the man who'd welcomed me into his family, who'd shaken my hand at our engagement party, who'd told me he was proud to have me as a son-in-law. He'd paid to have me destroyed. David, are you telling me that Sophia's father commissioned the hack? I'm telling you that the money trail leads back to his company. But Ethan, there's more. More. There was always more. Reed Pharmaceuticals isn't just targeting you. They're planning to acquire distressed tech companies. Companies that have been mysteriously hacked and devalued. It was a pattern. Hack tech companies. Destroy their value. Buy them for pennies on the dollar. How many companies? So far, 7. All specializing in AI technology. All hacked by the same digital signature. All acquired by Reed Pharmaceuticals within weeks of their collapse. 7 companies. 7 CEOs who'd probably gone through exactly what I was experiencing. 7 lives destroyed so Richard Reed could build a tech empire. But why? He's already worth billions from pharmaceuticals. Because the future isn't in pills, Ethan. It's in AI. Medical AI. Diagnostic AI. Treatment AI. He's positioning himself to control the entire intersection of healthcare and artificial intelligence. The intersection of healthcare and AI. That was worth trillions. Not billions. Trillions. My company wasn't just valuable for its technology. It was valuable for its position in the future of medicine. David, how did you find all this out? I've been investigating since the night of the hack. Following money trails. Analyzing patterns. Following money trails. David wasn't a forensic accountant. He was a business development executive. How would he know how to trace complex financial transactions? Unless he'd been involved from the beginning. Mr. Cole, be careful. Something about his story doesn't add up. David, this is incredible detective work. How exactly did you trace these financial connections? I hired a private investigator. Former FBI financial crime specialist. Private investigator. With what money? Our company was bankrupt. David's personal savings wouldn't cover that kind of investigation. How much did this investigation cost? About $50,000. But Ethan, it was worth it to find the truth. $50,000. The same amount I just paid Lila for 1 week of work. David had somehow found that money while our company was collapsing. Where did you get $50,000, David? I took out a personal loan. This was too important. Personal loan. Banks don't give $50,000 personal loans to people whose companies just went bankrupt. David was lying. Again. David, I need to ask you something directly. Have you had any contact with Marcus Gray since we fired him 5 years ago? What? No. Why would I? Just answer the question. Any contact at all? Ethan, you're being paranoid. Marcus Gray is our enemy. I'm trying to help you fight him. Help me fight him, while secretly working for him. Mr. Cole, I'm seeing something on your laptop monitoring. Someone is accessing your personal files right now. Someone was in my laptop, right now, while I was sitting in this conference room, which meant either David had remote access or someone else was watching this conversation in real time. David, I have a confession to make. What kind of confession? I've been investigating too, and I found some things that don't make sense. What kind of things? Like how someone has been accessing my personal laptop for weeks. Someone with physical access to my home network. His face went pale, just for a second, but I caught it. That's terrible, Ethan. Do you know who? I have some ideas. People who've been in my apartment regularly. People who know my routines. David, where were you last Tuesday night? Around 2 a.m. Last Tuesday. I was home. Why? Can anyone verify that? Ethan, what are you implying? I'm implying that someone close to me has been working with Marcus. Someone who knows my security codes. Someone who has access to my personal devices. You think it's me. I think someone has been playing a very long game. And I think that someone is sitting in this room. David stood up slowly. His entire demeanor changed. The pretend concern disappeared. The fake friendship evaporated. What was left was cold calculation. Ethan, you always were too smart for your own good. Too smart for my own good. Admission of guilt in 8 words. How long, David? How long have you been working against me? Since the beginning. Since college, actually. Since college. Our entire friendship. 15 years of shared memories. All of it fake. Why? Because you never deserved it. The success. The money. The recognition. You were just lucky. Right place, right time. But I had to watch you get everything I wanted. Had to play the supportive friend while you got all the credit for our work. Our work. Like David had contributed anything beyond basic business development. And Marcus? How does he fit into this? Marcus was just a tool. Someone with the technical skills to do what needed to be done. But the real architect, the person who planned your destruction from the very beginning. David smiled. A cold, satisfied smile I'd never seen before. That would be Richard Reed, Sophia's father, though she didn't know about his involvement until recently. Mr. Cole, you need to get out. Now, I'm detecting multiple phones converging on your location. Multiple phones. People coming to the building. David, what's happening? Who else is coming? Insurance, Ethan. To make sure you don't cause any more problems. Problems. I was the problem that needed to be solved. This was never about a meeting, was it? This was about getting me isolated. Finally understanding, aren't you? I could hear footsteps in the corridor outside. Multiple people. Moving with purpose. Mr. Cole, emergency exit. Stairwell on the east side of the building. Move now. I ran for the emergency exit. Behind me, David was talking to someone on his phone. He's moving toward the east stairwell. Cut him off. Cut him off. They'd planned for me to run. Had people positioned throughout the building. I made it to the stairwell just as I heard the elevator doors opening on my floor. Voices. At least 3 people. 15 floors. In dress shoes. While people hunted me through my own building. Mr. Cole, I'm calling 911. But you need to get to street level immediately. By the time I reached the ground floor, I could hear them in the stairwell above me. Getting closer. But I knew this building better than they did. Employee entrance. Loading dock. Multiple exits they might not know about. I made it outside. Empty street. My car was parked 2 blocks away. But as I ran toward it, I saw something that made my blood freeze. Sophia. Standing next to my car. With 2 men I didn't recognize. They'd known exactly where I'd parked. Had been watching me all evening. This wasn't just a trap. It was a coordinated operation. Mr. Cole, do not approach your car. I repeat, do not approach your vehicle. I hid in an alley across the street. Watched Sophia and her companions wait for me to walk into their trap. My fiancée, the woman I'd planned to marry. Standing guard to make sure I couldn't escape. That's when I realized the full scope of what I was facing. This wasn't just about David's jealousy or Marcus's revenge. This was about Richard Reed building a tech empire by destroying his competitors. And everyone in my life, Sophia, David, probably others, were employees in his corporate warfare operation. Mr. Cole, I found something on your laptop. Something you need to see immediately. What? Remote access software. Installed 3 months ago. But not by Marcus. Who installed it? Someone with administrative privileges on your home network. Someone who had physical access to your laptop for at least 30 minutes. 3 months ago. Right after I'd told Sophia about the Pentagon contract. Right after I'd shared my biggest business secret. Lila, the software signature. Can you tell who installed it? Mr. Cole, according to the installation logs, it was installed from your personal study. At your home. At 2:15 a.m. on a Tuesday night. 2:15 a.m. Tuesday night. The same time someone had used David's credentials to breach our corporate system. But that wasn't David in my study. That was Sophia. Lila, there's more, isn't there? Mr. Cole, the surveillance software isn't just recording your activities. It's been used to access your personal files, your email, your financial records. But most importantly, it's been used to access other people's devices through your network. Your employees, your business partners, anyone who's connected to your home Wi-Fi. My home network had been used as a gateway to hack other people. Every business meeting I'd hosted at my apartment. Every colleague who'd used my Wi-Fi. Every client who'd connected to my network. All of them had been compromised through my own home. Mr. Cole, you weren't just the target. You were the weapon. They used your trusted network to access dozens of other companies. Other companies. The 7 businesses David had mentioned. All of them had probably connected my network at some point. Business dinners. Client meetings. Industry conferences I'd hosted. I wasn't just a victim. I was an unwitting accomplice in the destruction of my entire industry. I could hear sirens approaching. Lila had called the police. But would they believe my story? Would they understand the complexity of what had happened? Or would they see a desperate billionaire making accusations against his innocent fiancée and business partner? Mr. Cole, the police are 2 minutes away. But I need to tell you something else. What now? The surveillance software on your laptop? It's still active. Right now. Whoever installed it has been watching our entire investigation. Watching our investigation. Everything we'd discovered. Every plan we'd made. Every move we were planning. They knew exactly what evidence we had. Exactly what we were planning to do with it. Lila, that means... It means they're already planning their next move. And Mr. Cole? I don't think tonight was about capturing you. What was it about? I think it was about getting you to reveal everything you knew. Every suspicion. Every piece of evidence. They'd use David to extract information from me. Use the fake meeting to make me show my hand. Now they knew exactly how much I'd discovered. Exactly how dangerous I was to their operation. Which means, Mr. Cole, tonight wasn't the trap. Tonight was reconnaissance. The real trap is coming next. As police cars pulled up to my building, I realized something that made my stomach drop. Everything I'd told David tonight about hiring Lila, about discovering the surveillance, about tracing the financial connections, all of that information had been transmitted in real time to whoever was controlling my laptop. Which meant Richard Reed now knew exactly how much I'd discovered about his operation. Exactly what evidence I had. Exactly what threats I posed to his plans. But it also meant something else. If they were watching me this closely, if they were this concerned about what I might discover, then I was closer to the truth than they wanted to admit. Tonight, I discovered that my entire life has been a lie. My fiancé, my best friend, even my own home network have been weapons used against me. But I also discovered something they didn't want me to know. I'm not their only target. I'm just the beginning of something much bigger. Let me catch you up on where we left off, because honestly, my life has become so insane that even I need reminders. I just escaped a coordinated trap at my own office building. My business partner David had lured me there under the pretense of sharing new information, but it was really an ambush. I discovered that my fiancée Sophia's father, Richard Reed, was the mastermind behind the destruction of my company. And worst of all, my own laptop had been turned into a surveillance tool, feeding everything I discovered directly back to my enemies. But here's what really kept me awake that night. If they were watching my every move, monitoring my every conversation, tracking my every plan, how could I possibly fight back? It's Thursday morning, 6 days since my world collapsed. I'm sitting in a 24-hour diner in Queens, using a burner phone I bought with cash. No credit cards. No digital trail. No way for them to track me. Lila Torres, my cybersecurity expert, is sitting across from me looking like she hasn't slept in days. Mr. Cole, we need to assume all your normal communication channels are compromised. Your phone, your email, your home network, everything. So, how do we communicate? Smoke signals. Encrypted messaging apps on devices they don't know about. Cash transactions only. And we meet in different locations every time. Different locations every time. My life had become a spy movie, except the stakes were real, and the bullets were financial. Lila, I need to confront David directly. Face to face. Get him to admit what he's done. Mr. Cole, that's extremely dangerous. If he's working with these people, confronting him could put you at serious risk. I'm already at serious risk. My company is gone. My money is gone. My reputation is destroyed. What else can they take from me? Your life, Mr. Cole. They can take your life. She was right, of course. But sometimes you reach a point where the truth matters more than safety. Where you'd rather die knowing than live wondering. Lila, Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to confront David this morning, but you're going to be recording everything remotely. If something happens to me, at least there will be evidence. And if he admits to everything, if he confesses on tape, then we take that evidence to the FBI, to the media, to anyone who will listen. My secure phone was buzzing. Text message from an unknown number. Board meeting moved to 9 a.m. Emergency vote. Come alone. David. Emergency vote. They weren't even pretending this was about normal business anymore. They were voting me out as CEO of my own company. Mr. Cole, this is obviously another trap. Maybe, but it's also an opportunity. If David thinks he's in control, he might get careless. Might reveal more than he intends to. Besides, this board meeting is happening whether I show up or not. At least if I'm there, I can defend myself. An hour later, I was driving to my office building. The same building I'd run from the night before. But this time, I wasn't running into a trap. I was walking into a war. The lobby was busier than usual. Security guards I didn't recognize. Men in expensive suits who looked like corporate lawyers. Everyone was preparing for something big. When I reached the 15th floor, the conference room was already full. My board of directors. 12 people who'd made millions investing in my company. Now they looked at me like I was a disease they needed to cure. And David, sitting at the head of the table, like he already owned the place. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for coming on short notice, David said. Notice how he was running the meeting. Not me. Not the CEO. Him. As you all know, recent events have raised serious questions about Ethan's leadership capabilities. Leadership capabilities. Like getting hacked by your best friend was a management failure. David, I interrupted. Before we start, can I speak with you privately? The room went quiet. 12 sets of eyes looking between me and David like they were watching a tennis match. Ethan, whatever you need to say, you can say it here. We're all friends. Friends. The words sounded poisonous coming from his mouth. Fine. David, I need to ask you directly. Did you have any involvement in the hack that destroyed our company? You could feel the tension in the room spike. This wasn't the polite corporate discussion they'd expected. Ethan, I can't believe you're even asking me that question. Just answer it. Yes or no. Did you help Marcus Gray hack our systems? David looked around the room, measuring faces, calculating responses. No, Ethan. I did not help Marcus Gray hack our systems. Technically true, maybe, but I noticed what he didn't say. He didn't say he hadn't helped at all. He didn't say he wasn't involved in any way. What about the meetings, David? What meetings? The coffee shop in Brooklyn. Tuesday night. You and Marcus. I saw you. Half the board members were looking confused. The other half were looking like they wanted to be anywhere else. Ethan, you're obviously under a lot of stress. Answer the question. Were you meeting with Marcus Gray or not? And there it was. The mask slipping. Just for a second, I saw the real David. Cold. Calculating. Angry that I'd caught him. Yes, I met with Marcus. But not for the reasons you think. What reasons? I was trying to negotiate. Get our money back. Get our data back. Negotiate. With a man who'd stolen everything. Without telling me. Without involving our lawyers or the FBI. And how did that negotiation go, David? He wasn't interested in negotiating. What did he want? He wanted you to stop investigating. Said if you kept digging, things would get worse. Stop investigating. Exactly what someone guilty would want. David, why didn't you tell me about this meeting? Because I knew you'd react exactly like you're reacting now. With paranoia and accusations. Paranoia and accusations. Like being suspicious of secret meetings was unreasonable. Let me ask you something else, David. How did you afford to hire that private investigator you mentioned? I told you. Personal loan. From which bank? That's personal financial information. Personal financial information. In the middle of a board meeting about our company's survival. David, our company is bankrupt. I'm facing personal financial ruin. But somehow you had $50,000 to spend on investigation? Where did that money come from? I could see some board members starting to look suspicious. Starting to ask themselves the same questions I was asking. Ethan, I think you should sit down. You're obviously not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. David, show me the bank records for this personal loan. I don't have to show you anything. As CEO of this company, I'm asking to see financial records from my business partner that might be relevant to our current situation. Actually, Ethan, you're not CEO anymore. What? We took a preliminary vote this morning, before you arrived. The board has voted to remove you as Chief Executive Officer. They'd voted me out of my own company, without me present, without even hearing my side. That's impossible. That's not how corporate governance works. Actually, it is. Emergency provisions. When the CEO is deemed incapacitated or acting against company interests. Incapacitated. Like I was mentally ill instead of investigating corporate espionage. Who's the new CEO? The board voted unanimously. I am. David Lin, my best friend, my business partner, now the CEO of the company I'd built from nothing. Congratulations, David. I'm sure Marcus will be proud of your promotion. And there it was, the flash of anger, the confirmation that he knew exactly what I was implying. Ethan, you need to leave. Security will escort you out. 2 security guards I'd never seen before, probably hired specifically for this moment. This is still my company, David. Actually, it's not. Your shares have been frozen pending investigation of potential insider trading. Insider trading. They were accusing me of illegally trading stock in my own company. That's ridiculous. I haven't traded any shares. The SEC has evidence of suspicious transactions from accounts linked to your personal information. My compromised laptop, my stolen identity. They'd been making illegal trades using my credentials. David, you know that's not true. You know those trades were made by whoever hacked my systems. I don't know anything, Ethan. I just know what the evidence shows. The guards were getting closer. Time to make my exit before this got physical. Fine. I'll leave. But David, this isn't over. Actually, Ethan, it is. It's completely over. As I walked toward the elevator, I heard David addressing the board. Gentlemen, ladies, I know this is difficult. But sometimes leadership requires making hard decisions about people we care about. People we care about, like destroying someone's life, was an act of love. In the elevator, I had time to process what had just happened. I'd been removed as CEO, accused of insider trading, escorted out of my own building, but I'd also gotten something valuable. Confirmation that David was lying. His reactions, his evasions, his defensive responses, everything pointed to guilt. Text message from Lila. Did you get the recording? The recording. I'd been wearing a wire the entire time. Everything David said was now evidence. Got all. Meet at the usual place in 1 hour. 1 hour later, I was back in the Queen's Diner, listening to the recording with Lila. Mr. Cole, this is good evidence of suspicious behavior, but it's not a confession. David was careful not to admit anything directly. But his reactions prove he's hiding something. In court, maybe, but we need more concrete evidence. What kind of evidence? Financial records, communication logs, digital footprints that connect him directly to Marcus or to Richard Reed. Financial records, communication logs. Where would David keep that kind of information? Lila, what if we could access David's personal devices? His laptop, his phone, his home computer? That would be illegal, Mr. Cole. Breaking and entering. Computer hacking. We'd be committing felonies. They've already committed felonies against me. They've stolen my company, my money, my identity. Mr. Cole, I understand your anger. But if we break the law to gather evidence, that evidence becomes useless. And we go to prison. She was right. But legal methods were taking too long. And every day I waited, David consolidated his power over my former company. My phone was ringing. Sophia, the woman who'd betrayed me but didn't know I knew about it yet. Ethan, where are you? I heard about what happened at the board meeting. How did you hear about it so quickly? David called me. He's worried about you. David called her to discuss company business that she had no involvement in. Why would he do that? Sophia, why would David call you about my company? Because he knows I care about you. He thought I should know what happened. What exactly did David tell you? That the board voted you out. That you accused him of terrible things. Ethan, he's really hurt. He's your best friend. She was defending David, taking his side against me. The woman who was supposed to support me was advocating for the man who'd stolen my company. Sophia, I need to come home. We need to talk. Of course. I'll make dinner. We'll work through this together. Lila, I'm going home. I need to search Sophia's things. Find evidence of her involvement. Mr. Cole, that's also illegal. You can't search someone's personal belongings without consent. It's my home too. Legally, I have a right to access any area of my own apartment. Technically true, but morally questionable. Morality is a luxury I can't afford right now. 2 hours later, I was back in my penthouse. Sophia was in the kitchen making pasta, acting perfectly normal, acting like she hadn't spent the morning coordinating my destruction. How are you feeling, baby? Devastated, betrayed, confused. I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding. David loves you like a brother. Brother, the same word David had used when he was lying to my face. Sophia, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Of course. Have you ever discussed my business with anyone outside our relationship? What do you mean? I mean, have you ever shared information about coal industries with friends, family, anyone? Ethan, why would you ask me that? She was deflecting, not denying, just avoiding the question. Just answer. Yes or no. Have you shared business information with anyone? Sometimes I mention things to my father. He's interested in your work. Her father, Richard Reed, the man who'd orchestrated my destruction. What kind of things do you mention? General things. How the company is doing. Major contracts. Nothing confidential. Nothing confidential. Like Pentagon contracts weren't confidential. Sophia, the Pentagon deal. Did you tell your father about that? I might have mentioned it. Why? She told Richard Reed about the Pentagon contract. Given him the information he needed to plan the perfect time to destroy my company. When did you tell him? I don't remember exactly. Does it matter? Does it matter? Like sharing classified government contract information was casual dinner conversation. Sophia, I need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back. Instead of the bathroom, I went to our bedroom, to Sophia's walk-in closet, to the small safe where she kept her important documents. I knew the combination. Her birthday. She'd never changed it. Inside the safe were the usual things. Jewelry, passport, birth certificate. But at the bottom, underneath everything else, was a manila folder I'd never seen before. Documents, contracts, financial statements, all related to companies I'd never heard of. Neurotech Industries, the same company that had stolen the Pentagon contract. Sophia owned shares, significant shares. She wasn't just helping them steal my technology. She was financially invested in my destruction. But that wasn't the worst document in the folder. There was a contract, signed 3 months ago, between Sophia Reed and Richard Reed Consulting. A consulting contract for competitive intelligence gathering, with monthly payments of $50,000. $50,000 a month. For 3 months. $150,000 total. Sophia had been paid to spy on me, by her own father. But there was more. Email printouts. Conversations between Sophia and someone named RR, obviously Richard Reed. Target is planning major announcement next week. Pentagon contract likely. Suggest accelerating timeline. From Sophia. Understood. Marcus is ready. David will handle internal access. From RR. What about after? When it's done? From Sophia. You'll be financially secure. Both of you. This is the last job. From RR. The last job, like destroying people's lives, was Sophia's career. There were more emails. Dozens of them. Going back 6 months. Detailed reports about my daily routines. My business meetings. My personal relationships. My financial accounts. Everything I'd thought was private had been documented and reported to my enemies. Ethan, everything okay up there? Just a minute. Looking for something. I photographed every document, every email, every piece of evidence. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it. When I returned to the kitchen, Sophia was plating our dinner, smiling like nothing was wrong. Feel better? Much better. Actually, I think I'm starting to understand what's really happening. What do you mean? I think I've been looking at this all wrong. Maybe David isn't the enemy. Maybe the real enemy is someone else. She looked relieved, like she thought I was giving up on investigating David. Who do you think the real enemy is? I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to find out. Ethan, maybe it's time to stop investigating. Focus on moving forward, building something new. Stop investigating. The same message David had delivered for Marcus. You're probably right. I should let the professionals handle it. The FBI, the lawyers. Actually, maybe that's not necessary either. Sometimes these things work themselves out. Work themselves out. Like massive corporate theft just resolves itself naturally. Sophia, can I ask you something personal? Of course. If you found out someone you loved had been lying to you for months, what would you do? I guess it would depend on why they were lying. What if they were lying to protect someone else? Someone who was trying to hurt you? Then I'd probably understand. Sometimes people we love make difficult choices. Difficult choices, like betraying your fiancé, was just a hard decision instead of pure evil. Yeah, I guess you're right. Sometimes people we love surprise us. After dinner, I excused myself to make some business calls. Instead, I called Lila from my secure phone. Lila, I found it. Evidence. Concrete proof. What kind of proof? Financial records showing Sophia was paid to spy on me. Email communications with her father. Ownership shares in the company that stole my Pentagon contract. Mr. Cole, that's incredible. That's enough evidence to build a criminal case. There's more. David isn't just working with Marcus. He's working directly with Richard Reed. This whole thing was coordinated from the beginning. I'm documenting everything you're telling me. Mr. Cole, you need to get these documents to the FBI immediately. I can't. They're in Sophia's private safe. Any evidence obtained illegally won't be admissible in court. Then we need to find another way to get this information legally. Or we need to force them to reveal themselves. Make them think they've won, so they get careless. What do you have in mind? I'm going to give them exactly what they want. Complete surrender. Total defeat. And while they're celebrating their victory, we'll be gathering evidence. That night, I lay in bed next to Sophia, the woman who'd been paid to destroy me. The woman who documented my every move for my enemies. But for the first time in days, I felt hopeful. Because now I knew the truth. All of it. The complete conspiracy. Richard Reed had planned everything. Used his daughter to spy on me. Used Marcus to execute the hack. Used David to take control of my company. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated me. They thought destroying my company would break me. They thought stealing my money would defeat me. Instead, it had freed me. Freed me from the illusion that the people I loved actually loved me back. Tomorrow, I would start phase 2 of my own plan. Not revenge. Justice. I was going to expose every person involved in this conspiracy. I was going to recover every dollar they'd stolen. And I was going to make sure they all paid for what they'd done. But first, I was going to let them think they'd won. Because nothing makes criminals more careless than the taste of victory. My name is Ethan Cole. I've discovered that everyone I trusted was working against me. My fiancé, my business partner, even my future father-in-law. But they forgot something important. You don't build a billion-dollar company by giving up when things get hard. You build it by playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And I'm about to show them what a real grandmaster can do. You know what they say about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer? Well, what happens when you can't tell the difference anymore? My name is Ethan Cole, and 3 days ago, I discovered that the woman I planned to marry had been systematically destroying my life for months. But here's the thing about love. Even when your brain knows the truth, your heart keeps whispering lies. I'm standing in my penthouse, looking out at the Seattle skyline. The city lights used to represent endless possibilities. Now, they just remind me of how far I have to fall. Sophia is in the kitchen, making her signature chamomile tea, the same ritual she's performed every night for 8 months. Everything looks normal, peaceful even. But I know better now. My phone buzzes. A text from Lila Torres. Surveillance software is still active on your personal devices. They're watching everything. I slide the phone into my pocket and walk toward the kitchen. Sophia looks up at me with those emerald eyes that once made me forget my own name. She's wearing my old Stanford hoodie, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looks so innocent. "You're quiet tonight," she says, her voice soft with concern. "Still thinking about the meeting with the board tomorrow?" I study her face. Is that genuine worry I see? Or is she mentally calculating how much information to report back to Marcus? After what I learned today, I can't trust my own judgment anymore. Let me tell you what happened earlier. I'd been reviewing security footage with Lila when she found something that made my blood run cold. On my laptop, buried in the system logs, were timestamps showing file access at times when I was asleep. Someone had been using my computer regularly between 2 and 4 a.m. over the past 6 weeks. "Ethan," Lila had said, her face pale, "whoever did this had physical access to your laptop. They knew your passwords, your security questions, everything. This isn't just corporate espionage, this is personal." I remembered all those nights when Sophia would get up for water or claim she couldn't sleep. How she'd pad around the apartment in bare feet while I was unconscious, thinking she was just restless. The pieces were falling into place like a puzzle I never wanted to solve. "Sophia," I say, leaning against the marble counter. "We need to talk." Something flickers in her expression. Fear? Guilt? She sets down her mug with trembling hands. "Of course. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I pull out my phone and show her the security logs. "Can you explain why my laptop was accessed at 3:17 a.m. last Tuesday?" The silence stretches between us like a chasm. I watch her face cycle through emotions, confusion, realization, then something that looks almost like relief. "Ethan, I can explain." "Can you?" "Because I've been trying to understand how the woman I love, the woman I plan to spend my life with, could systematically destroy everything I've built." Tears start flowing down her cheeks. Real tears, not the crocodile tears I was expecting. She sinks into one of the bar stools, her shoulders shaking. "You don't understand," she whispers. "I never wanted any of this to happen." What happens next is something I'll replay in my mind for the rest of my life. Sophia looks up at me with those tear-filled eyes and begins to speak. "Marcus found me 6 months ago. Not the other way around. I was at that charity gala in San Francisco, the one where we first met, remember? He approached me at the bar while you were giving your speech about AI ethics." She takes a shuddering breath. "He knew everything about me, Ethan. My real name isn't even Sophia Reed. It's Sarah Reynolds. My father isn't Richard Reed, he's Robert Reynolds, and he's been in federal prison for embezzlement since I was 16. The room starts spinning. Everything I thought I knew about the woman I love is crumbling in real time. Marcus had photos, documents, evidence of my past. He said if I didn't help him, he'd destroy me. Not just expose me, destroy me. He had connections to people who could make me disappear. I want to comfort her, but I force myself to stay where I am. So you chose to destroy me instead. No. She stands up so fast the stool topples over. I tried to protect you. Every piece of information I gave him, I tried to make it useless. I'd give him outdated financial reports, old business plans, anything to buy time while I figure out how to get us both out of this. But then, she tells me something that makes everything even more complicated. "Ethan, there's something else. Marcus isn't just doing this for revenge. He's working for someone much bigger, someone who wants to destroy the entire AI industry. Your company was just the first target." I lean against the wall, my legs suddenly unsteady. "Who?" "I don't know his real name. Marcus calls him the client. But whoever he is, he has resources that make your fortune look like pocket change. Military connections, government contracts, politicians in his pocket. Marcus showed me a list once, 12 AI companies marked for destruction, and yours was number 1. The implications hit me like a freight train. This isn't just about business rivalry or personal revenge. This is about reshaping an entire industry. Why are you telling me this now?" I ask. Sophia walks toward me slowly, like she's approaching a wounded animal. "Because I'm done being his puppet. And because..." She stops just inches away from me. "Because I love you, Ethan. Despite everything that's happened, despite how we met, despite the lies I've had to tell, I love you." I search her eyes for deception, for any sign that this is just another performance. What I see there's complicated, pain, fear, regret, but also something that looks genuine. Love, maybe? Or maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. "Prove it," I say. "What?" "If you love me, if you want to make this right, then help me. Tell me everything you know about Marcus's operation. Help me take him down." She nods immediately. "Yes. Whatever it takes. Starting with your father, the real Richard Reed. Where does he fit into this?" Her face goes pale. "Ethan, I told you, my father is Robert Reynolds and he's in prison." "No, Sophia. Richard Reed is very real, and according to my investigation, he's been paying you $50,000 a month for competitive intelligence gathering. So either you're still lying to me, or Marcus has been playing us both." The confusion on her face looks genuine, but at this point, I don't know what's real anymore. "Listen," I continue, "if you really want to help me, there's something I need you to do. Marcus is expecting a progress report from you, right? Your usual Wednesday night check-in." She nods. "Then here's what we're going to do. You're going to tell him exactly what I want him to know." For the next hour, we plan an elaborate deception. I give Sophia false information about my recovery plans, fake financial strategies, non-existent security upgrades, fictional meetings with potential investors. If she's truly trying to help me, this will throw Marcus off my real trail. If she's still working against me, at least I'll know. But as we sit there plotting together, sharing this intimate conspiracy, I feel something I haven't felt in days. Hope. Maybe we can actually get through this together. Maybe love really can conquer betrayal. I pretend to go to bed at 11 p.m., but I'm actually wide awake, watching our apartment's internal security feed from my phone. Sophia thinks I'm asleep, but I'm monitoring every room through the cameras Lila helped me install yesterday. At 11:47 p.m., Sophia gets up from bed. She moves quietly through the apartment, and I watch her go to my study. My heart sinks as she opens my laptop and begins typing. But then something unexpected happens. Instead of accessing sensitive files, she's deleting things. Lots of things. Financial reports, business plans, security protocols. She's systematically wiping my hard drive. At first, I think this confirms my worst fears. She's destroying evidence, covering her tracks. But then I realize what she's actually doing. She's deleting everything that Marcus could use against me. She's destroying months of intelligence that she's gathered, making it worthless to the enemy. I get out of bed and walk quietly to my study. Sophia is so focused on her task that she doesn't hear me approach. I watch her for a full minute, deleting file after file, genuinely trying to protect me. Working late. I say softly. She spins around, panic in her eyes, the laptop screen still glowing behind her. Ethan, I can explain. You're deleting the files you've been copying for Marcus. Yes. The question is, are you deleting them to cover your tracks or to protect me? She stares at me for a long moment, then turns back to the computer. See for yourself. She shows me what she's been deleting, not just recent files, but months of accumulated intelligence. Financial records, business strategies, personal information, meeting notes, everything Marcus would need to continue his assault on my company. I've been keeping copies of everything I sent him, she says quietly. Tonight, I'm destroying it all. Every piece of intelligence, every report, every stolen document. I'm burning it all down. But then she shows me something that changes everything again. Ethan, look at this. She opens a hidden folder on the laptop. These are the real files Marcus wanted, not just your business information, but data from 12 other companies. Your laptop wasn't just compromised to steal from you. It was turned into a gateway to attack other AI companies across the country. I stare at the screen in horror. My home network, my personal devices, have been used as weapons against innocent people. Companies I've never even heard of have been infiltrated through my compromised systems. Every time you worked from home, every time you connected to your company network, Marcus was using your credentials to attack someone else. You weren't just a victim, Ethan. You were unwittingly turned into a weapon. The full scope of the conspiracy finally becomes clear. This isn't just about destroying my company or getting revenge. This is about using my resources, my reputation, my network access to systematically dismantle the entire AI industry. So what do we do now? Sophia asks. I look at this woman, this complicated, damaged, possibly loving, possibly lying woman, and I realize I have to make a choice. Do I trust her? Do I believe her story about being coerced? Do I accept her help in fighting back? We fight, I say finally. But if you betray me again, Sophia, if any of this is an act, I will destroy you. She nods solemnly. I understand. And we start by feeding Marcus exactly the wrong information. Tomorrow, you're going to tell him that I'm planning to liquidate my assets and flee the country. Let him think he's won. As Sophia continues deleting files, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. In the recently deleted folder, there are files with tomorrow's date, files that haven't been created yet. Sophia, I say slowly, why are there files dated for tomorrow? She frowns and looks at the screen. I don't know. I didn't create those. We both realize what this means at the same time. Someone else has been using my laptop. Someone with access to our apartment, our security codes, our most intimate spaces. Ethan, Sophia whispers, if Marcus has been here. We look at each other in terror, realizing that our entire conversation tonight might have been monitored. Every plan we've made, every secret we've shared, every moment of vulnerability, it could all be compromised. I'm about to respond when we hear the sound of footsteps in the hallway outside our apartment. Heavy, deliberate footsteps that stop right outside our door. Sophia grabs my arm. Ethan, we need to go. Now. But as we head toward the back exit, I realize something that makes my heart stop. Those files dated for tomorrow, they contain detailed information about our conversation tonight. Someone knew exactly what we would discuss before we even discussed it. The footsteps outside our door are getting closer, and I realize that everything we've just shared, every plan we've made, every moment of trust we've rebuilt, it was all part of someone else's design. As we prepare to run, Sophia looks at me with tears in her eyes and says something that will haunt me forever. Ethan, what if we were never in control of any of this? What if every choice we think we're making has already been decided for us? The sound of keys in our front door lock echoes through the apartment, and I realize that our real enemy might not be Marcus at all. It might be someone so close to us that we never saw them coming. They say that trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. But what happens when the very foundation of your reality starts crumbling? When you realize that every decision you've made, every person you've trusted, every moment of your life might have been orchestrated by someone else. My name is Ethan Cole, and I'm about to discover that some betrayals run so deep that they redefine the meaning of truth itself. But that's a story for tomorrow, if I survive the night.